Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Small Print Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Elise, and I blog at reread.wordpress.com.
And I'm Dawn, and I blog at bangBangBookblog.com.
And today we're continuing our Heart of Betrayal reread, which is the second book in the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. And today we're going to be discussing chapter 12 through 21. Let's get started.
Right.
Chapter 12. I should have gone again. I always make notes at the end.
I know, I do the same thing.
All right, so this chapter, the general sum up is Leah is playing Caden and his emotions, and she basically meets some people she can use to her advantage while in Venda.
In the beginning, she kind
The
of
dream.
reminds me, like for Game of Thrones fans, she's like the three-eyed raven.
A little bit,
like,
yeah.
She can see in the future and the past. Is it a dream? Is it a vision? We don't know.
At this point, I am assuming that her dreams are something specific.
Yeah, me too.
So I had to reread this part like a couple times because I wanted to make sure that I was really understanding what was happening. She's seeing little bits of her past and her future, I think. But one thing that I underlined that I wanted to talk about was that her mother says to her, "You're a soldier now, Leah, a soldier in your father's army." Let's chat about that a second. Okay. How so? Because her parents have kind of abandoned her, more or less.
I think so. As we've read, we find out that her parents don't know that Walter's dead.
Right.
And so maybe when they find out in the future, now they're telling her, well, you're all we have left.
Okay.
Basically. Could be that.
And see, we don't find out that they don't know Walter's dead until a couple chapters later. The chapter I just read, 21. 21, we find out that he is assumed missing.
Yeah, right? They don't know he's dead.
Right. So that does make sense. I'll accept that. I was just like, I don't get that. That doesn't make sense to me. But yeah. And then she's still thinking about Greta and Walter. Obviously because they just died, so it's a little bit of grief there. But I feel like that also is going to come back around later in the book. And then anything else with the dream you wanted to shout out?
No.
Okay. Sorry, there was something on page... Well, when she's talking to Aster, she meets the servant girl, Aster. And Aster's name is significant because it's the angel that... What does the angel do? She like reveals the new revelation to the people after the apocalyptic storm. It's basically like the equivalent of Gabriel in like Judeo-Christian mythology. Okay. And so she meets this girl named Aster, and I think she's named that for a reason. And Aster says that my mom says she named me for the angel who showed Venda the way through the gates to the city, the saving angel. And that's literally what Aster, I think, is going to do. Aster is the literal metaphor of that angel to Leah in this book. So she sets that up right away. So Aster basically is someone to take seriously and think about in these chapters. And then Grizz even reminds her, I think later in this chapter, like it would be wise of you
later
to
in the
the
chunk that we read.
Yeah. So
let me see. So what I thought was interesting, going along with what you just said, because Aster is from Venda and she has her own version of the story, but then Morgan has their own version. So it's a little conflicting and we don't know.
That's true.
And so Leah's looking at her like, that's not the story.
So the angel who showed Venda through the gates is their version, whereas Morgan's version is the one where she was taken, right? Is that the two parts we're matching here?
Well, Godrel is the one where she's taken.
Right.
Morgan, we would have to go back to book 1 to see what the Morgan text is. Well, actually, I wrote it down. So the Morgan text says, the gods saw their deceit and sent an angel Aster to pluck a star from the sky and plunge it to earth. The dust and seas rising high, they choked the unrighteous. So that's the Morgan version of what Aster is. So that sounds like
an angel of death, kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas Venda believes her to be the saving angel.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Aster also tells Leah that the Commissar gives the like lowest rung of society the first pick of the booty as well, which I found interesting. That is not what I expected. First time I read this.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a good guy or if he's a manipulator. Don't know what his plan is for that.
Indeed.
Because they're still starving.
Right, and he has very strange ways of ensuring loyalty. Like, that's all he has. People's loyalty. All right.
Okay.
I made some more notes, but that's not really important. She's playing Caden big time in this chapter. If we can move ahead a little bit. She tells him, "You're all I have. You're my only ally." And he's like, "Well, what about Rafe?" She's like, "I don't care about that guy. Yeah. Screw him. I just need you." Like, wow.
Well, they don't. She doesn't want them to know that he's a weakness for her.
Of course not. And she's playing that game nicely.
I have notes here. I don't know what they mean. What are the organized brigades for?
Oh, I made a note of that too. Something important. Yeah, I was like, who's organizing this? We don't know yet. Okay. I don't know why I repeated that. I'm just super excited. Like, we don't know. We'll put a pin in that thought because I also wrote that down.
Well, I think are these the brigades that are going in?
Yeah, they're killing the patrols.
Yeah,
they're going out and getting war bounty, and then they're slaughtering patrols. So I don't know if they have a like pick off the enemy one by one approach rather than a full-on assault, because as Rafe says, they would lose in a full frontal attack. So I think that's their strategy.
Could be.
Because the patrols are probably the better of the King's army because they're specialized. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. I also think that the King's army is underestimating Vindans, and so
for sure.
They have no idea.
Yeah, and we can that's indicative of their respective societies, because Leah and Rafe also felt the same way towards Venda, but Leah's learning wisely. Go ahead.
Well, then I have written, what's so important to send an assassin? I thought it was because she's a Sierra. I don't remember what I'm talking about.
Well,
she's questioning why me? What's so important about me that they had to send an assassin? And it's not just because I thought they were sending her because they know she's a Sierra and that she can lead her people to safety, and so they want to kill her off so that they can't find safety, the Morganese. But I have a feeling that's not why. I don't think we know yet.
No, we don't. Okay. Yeah. Later in the chapter, she hears a voice.
Okay, that's my next note.
Yeah, as she has been doing so since she got here, which is ironic that her gift is really coming alive in Venda. She literally hears, "Jezzalia, you're here." She's like, "Oh, what?"
But maybe she's hearing from a bunch of different people, because the ghost lady that we now know is Venda. That could be her.
Right. That's who I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we realize that Calantha is possibly in love with the Commissar.
I think she's up to something else.
I do too.
Because she says she looks at him, but it doesn't look like it's a longing. It's something else. She can't quite place her face.
She thinks it's longing, but she's not sure.
Yeah.
She second guesses. And now, well, we also know that Calantha is cozying up to Rafe as well. Not necessarily cozying up to him, but she's trying to get in with him.
Yeah, maybe she's trying to get info.
She could be part of the secret spy society.
I don't remember her in this book
at all either. Hence the reread.
I remember Aster and I know her story, but I do not remember Calantha at all.
Very vaguely, yeah. Just that she was in it. I don't remember what.
I don't even remember her name.
Let's see. Okay, so this chapter right here is why I have thought that the Commissar is the dragon. Because Leah believes he's the dragon. She references the Commissar, and then she says, He looked like a boy of 17 instead of a man of nearly 30, a dragon of many faces, and how well he wore them. She constantly refers to him as a dragon. Like, this is the first time, and then she does it again and again when she's in the market. And then, I don't know, I still am kind of like subconsciously holding on to this idea that he might in fact be the dragon.
He could be.
He could be. We don't know.
The only thing we know about the dragon is that he's the seed of the thief. Okay? There's so many thieves in this book. You have no idea what thief she's talking about.
Interesting. Yep. That's all I had for this one.
Yeah.
All right. 13. Caden is given orders by the Commissar to basically rule in his stead, while the Commissar takes care of business in the Outer Lands.
Yeah. So we're still missing that governor, and he may be switching allegiances.
Or he may be dead.
We are not sure.
But
I think I remember what happens.
I do not at all. Oh my gosh. It's like, I did read this book. Then we kind of get a sense of Rafe's loyalty, like where it originates from on page 103. I think it's the same page as you. Yeah, for whatever reason, I have the same pages now. He basically plucked him out of hunger and groomed him to become the assassin. So,
Caden, you mean?
Yeah. Did I say Rafe?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Caden, and he's awed and grateful for the trust he gave me. So we're starting to pick apart the layers behind Caden's loyalty, intense loyalty to the Commissar. But we still don't know what exactly Caden came from, other than just hunger. I mean, yeah. So we start to see that here. And then the Commissar tells Caden, I need you to execute 3 soldiers because they ran from the army. Why are they running?
Yeah, we don't know.
That is odd. Do they not believe in the cause? Are they scared? What's the reason? Right.
I thought that they were possibly Rafe's people, because he has people coming, but they get executed, so it ain't them.
Yeah, it's not them. I don't think so.
No, it's not.
He says that he also mentions he has a special fondness for Dihara and her clan. Do we know why?
No.
Okay. Yeah, there's something there as well. And that was all I had for this chapter.
Yeah.
Okay. 14 is super long. Caden takes Leah to get new clothes in the Jahendra, which is like their version of a marketplace, and then he shows her around Venda, which might not be the smartest move on his part at all.
No.
Because he should know, he consistently, and that's what, okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Every single character that she encounters seriously underestimates her, and that's to their detriment.
Yeah, they think she's
an incredibly intelligent character. But you know what? She uses that to her advantage too. I didn't have any notes until page 110. Caden and Leah are having a discussion about why he hates nobility so much. And he says, I've known nobility, if not royalty. There isn't much difference. Who? That's the question of the day. But I remember.
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah.
So for all those readers out there who have not gotten to that part yet, that is a spoiler, so we will not go into that. But that does come up in this chapter. And then there's a theme here. There are no rules when it comes to survival. That has been repeated several times. Why?
Well, if you think about how their king is crowned, like it's just you kill him, you become the Commissar.
But I feel like this is a mantra that's left over from the storm. I'm using air quotes because of the apocalyptic storm.
Yeah.
It's very close to the Venden heart. I feel like I need to elaborate, but I'm not going to. So when Caden starts showing her around Venda, I want to know, why is the city so distorted? She keeps saying the city was woven of a weft and warp that defied reason. Have we discussed which city this is with the podcast yet? Is that a spoiler?
No.
Okay. This is Washington, D.C.
Potomac, I think, is the big clue.
Potomac, yeah. The Potomac is the clue. But
But there's also other stuff.
If you know anything about Washington, D.C., you will know that that city is organized to within an inch of its life. Like, every street is, it's all around the National Mall.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the river. How did it get so messed up?
Something hit it. An asteroid?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
We don't know. And it would make sense if you're going with the whole nuclear war thing, because it would make sense that they would want to destroy the nation's capital they were at war with. So I thought that was interesting. I love her experiences in the marketplace when she meets Astor's family. And I think what's great about Leah, and also points to the fact that she definitely is a chosen one, is that she has an appreciation for all of these different cultures that she encounters. Like, you can see in the scene that she starts to kind of have an affection for Venda when she starts like looking at the talisman and the different types of food and goods that they sell in the marketplace. What did I make a note here for? She notes that in Morrigan they like sing remembrances in the morning, kind of like a call to prayer, and in Venda they don't do that. So I wrote, why not? Because they do have their own songs.
Yeah.
Why are they not being... Is it just because they have different ways of remembering? Because they definitely do.
Could be.
I found that interesting that Pearson, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. She took the time to tell us that.
Yeah.
That's got to mean something. So I'm going to keep that in my mind for a later remembrance. Something happens with the guy who sells her the talisman too, remember? He's like, I knew you'd take it. He'd whisper it in my ear.
Oh.
What's that about?
They're all spies, man.
I know. Well, it was like, does everyone in Venda have this, like, some sort of a gift too? I don't know. It's weird. Venda is hella different.
Yeah, it is. I don't know.
So, that happened. And then, the next thing I want to talk about is the weed tea.
tea. That's probably going to come up.
For sure.
Again.
It was said that Thanos was all that kept Lady Venda in the early clans here alive for those first few winters. Put a pin in that.
But it's also can be a poison if picked the wrong time.
She starts having visions of Venda yet again when she's in the marketplace. Someone standing on a distant high ledge watching me. She's seeing her more and more with more frequency. Caden again brings up his parents, but specifically his mother, who we learn that he has affection and respect for. So his mother possibly was not a royal, and his father was, possibly. Or someone close to him. Venda was specifically left out of like treaties and negotiations as well, which is a huge contributor to their poverty. And then we get confirmation in this chapter, basically, that this is Washington, D.C., because he takes her to a monument that was almost 600 feet into the sky. And I Googled the height of the Washington Monument, and it's 555 feet.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. And then she realizes that he said something that the ancient texts confirm. Documents were found that confirm the height. She's like, how the heck do you have... She's like, I understand you may have documents, but how are they already interpreted? Because nobody in Morgan except 2 people know how to interpret the texts. So that was his mistake if he wanted to keep her silent and quiet. Because she's like, nope, gotta figure it out. And because she noted that in the Morrigan holy texts, when the ancients were trying to survive, it was the first thing they used for fuel. Like, they burnt all of their stuff, which was dumb. And ancient documents that were interpreted were even more rare. So then I wrote to myself, Venda possibly has support, and I totally forgot what happens at the end of this chapter. Essentially, so she sees the Abe Lincoln Monument as well. And that's pretty much where the chapter ends. Chapter 15. Any notes here? we're back to Rafe. We don't really know a lot about Dalbrek.
No, we don't. But we feeling book 3 is going to be all about.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably what we don't know.
We learn a little bit about Dalbrek in this chapter. We learned that his father and cabinets had plans to expand their boundaries using Leah as an alliance, and they kept pawning it off. Oh, it's just a dowry. Just give us this part. But they had secret plans to use it for a deep water port that would increase their power. And he doesn't. What I found interesting is that Rafe does not take a side when he states that. Did you notice that?
Mm-mm.
He merely states. So
maybe that is why he had plans to marry her, just for political gain, but he doesn't say it.
No, he doesn't.
Even if he has changed his mind, he doesn't say it.
Exactly. He doesn't say one way or another. And then we learned that Breck is an exiled prince of Morrigan. This is the first time we're hearing this. Yeah. He was banished from the kingdom of Morrigan for challenging his ruling brother. Though centuries had passed, Dalbrek still wanted it back. So that is a deep cultural divide between the two countries, if you will. So again, Rafe does not take a side on either of these things. Is he trying to restore his country's greatness? Possibly. Maybe not. We don't know. And he realizes that his plan might not be successful. May or may not. Chapter 16. Leah escapes down the passageway and she sees Venda again. Let's see. Is this where she? Oh yeah. She finds that someone has put her stuff back. The like bedroll and all of her texts and things like that she crossed the Cam Lanto with after she was kidnapped. She thought she lost them. She felt distraught, but somebody saved them and put them in her room. We have an idea who it might be, but it's not necessarily confirmed. She's thinking it's Even. And then finds the passageway, steps down, and Venda shows her the way through the darkness.
Did he really think he was going to keep her in that room and she wasn't going to find that passageway?
That's what I'm saying.
It's under a little flimsy rug.
I know. You think that she's just going to sit in there bored? Like, no. When people are bored, they explore and they're curious. Like, he's so dumb. Everybody constantly underestimates her in the dumbest of ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ugh. And I thought that too. I'm like, really, Ray? Or really, Caden? This song, or the Last Testament of Godrill, between chapter 16 and 17 was pretty loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So wait a minute. Is Amma and Godrill the same person? Or is Godrill a group of people? Is that the name of their tribe?
I have no idea. I don't know.
So is this Amma?
Because
we've been reading this whole time?
I have no idea. But what I got from this was that Godrill and Venda are sisters, and that Godrill was born before the storm and Venda was born after.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we learned that yet.
No.
So that is important to know. So Venda is pretty much unaware of what happened before she was born, obviously, as all of us are. But what notes do you have here?
Okay, so if you read the Morrigan novella, I can never say that word right. Mm-hmm. So as you said, Godrill and Venda are sisters. Mm-hmm. In book 1, there was a little girl who she kept saying Amma, but we don't know if Amma is Godrill. I have no idea. So anyway, Morrigan is Venda's daughter. Venda was taken by Harik. Mm-hmm. He's a thief, so he could be a thief.
Sure.
And Venda and Harik had Morgan. Morgan was with the tribe, and then Harik took her back. He just came to the tribe and took her back because it's his daughter. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to take her back to Venda, but then there's another character named Jafir who interferes and says, no, I want her. I'll give you her for a bag of grain. So then Morgan gets sold to Jafir, and then Morgan leads the people to Morgan, and that's how it's called Morgan. So, because Morgan is a Sira, and that's why Harik wanted her. Mm-hmm. But that's all I had for that. Sorry, but I mean that's just like a timeline for some people.
Mm-hmm. It's still very confusing to me. I don't know. It's getting clearer, but I didn't. Yeah, that was the only thing I got from this: the births, and that they are in fact sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Because all, like you said, all she's been calling her is Amma, and we didn't know if that meant mother, grandma, sister, what we knew. So, yeah. Indeed, chapter 17. Leah escapes down the passageway like we began in the last chapter, and she finds Rafe. When she's in the passageway, after she sees Venda, anything in italics, I'm assuming, is like the voice to her. So on the first page, it says the wind, time, it circles, repeats, and some swaths cutting deeper than others. What the heck does that mean?
I feel like sometimes the italics is just her remembering what other people have told her in the past, too. So I don't know which is which.
Yeah.
When it's a vision or someone hearing, or
Good point. There's some sexy times in this a little bit. On page 145. When she sees him.
It's just a little kiss.
Girl, that
ain't nothing compared to a Court of Mist and Fury.
I know, but it's very sweet, and it's definitely you can definitely tell that there's a lot of passion between these two characters. Let's see. Yeah. And then he tells her, he's like, how did you get here? Through a window? Leah, you can't go dancing on a ledges like a... And then it cuts off, and I'm like, that's an odd place to put a reference to Venda. Did he know that that's what he was doing?
How does he know about Venda?
That's what I'm saying. He does not.
Yeah, I caught that too.
Yeah.
I didn't know why he said that to her.
Yes, it's very weird. She keeps getting compared to Venda. So, keep that in mind. She interrogates him about Calantha. They're kind of displaying their jealousies towards each other. She notes that the Vendan army is hiding something, and Rafe acknowledges it, saying that the skirmishes with the band of Vendans is different. And she tells him about the things that she stole from Civica. And we get the sense that Rafe doesn't really believe that she has the gift.
No.
Which we didn't know before.
No.
And that is a huge
schism. Did he even know that there was a gift to be had?
Yeah, because there were rumors.
Okay.
But maybe the rumors in Morgan about my lack had spread all the way to Dalbrick. So everybody knows that the first daughters of Morgan are supposed to have a gift.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't believe she does. Despite the fact he's like, I believe you, there's something looming, but he doesn't believe that she actually has the gift, which that's going to come between them, I feel like, later in the book. Yeah. She gets depressed and leaves. Chapter 18 is from Caden's point of view. He is got to execute, I'm sorry, the three soldiers. And he does so, but he does it in a different way than the Comazar tells him to. The Comazar left and told him to make them suffer. And he doesn't. Is it because they're so young? Kind of a rhetorical question, but, because he makes a point to point out their youth, that they haven't even shaved yet. They're so young. They're probably 13, 14.
Perhaps he is not as cutthroat as the Comazar, even though he is an assassin.
No, I agree with you, and I think it's because of his past. He has an affinity with these soldiers that he doesn't even know because of their age. Like I think Caden has a lot of guilt that pairs with his loyalty. Why did I get chosen? Why did I get plucked out of my horrible circumstances and made this important character in Venda?
Well, he doesn't know now. Now that you said that, I was like, oh, maybe the Comazar knew his background and did it on purpose.
Probably.
Wow.
Knowing the
I didn't
commissar.
even think about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's like, he makes a point to say, if they hadn't seen enough misery by now, they'd have to find it elsewhere. So like, he's not going to keep indulging in this sense of horrible misery in his country. But yeah. Chapter 19. Leah is still in the passageway and she finds a hallway, and when she comes out of it, well, wait, first of all, she finds a knife sewn into her pants, which is an odd place. Yeah, that's an odd place to put that revelation, because she doesn't use it in the chapter. Not that she needs to use it immediately, but I'm just saying it was odd. That was odd to me. But she finds a vast cavern with dozens of columns sprouting up into arches across the great expanse. And I did not get this until just now, that this is the Library of Congress.
Oh.
Yes. Because I Googled a photo of what the Library of Congress looks like. And I was like, oh, that's exactly what she's describing.
The first time I read this, I basically had a picture of the mall just so I could be like, okay, this is this building and they're in here, and I didn't even catch that.
Yep. The arches, the columns and the arches across the great expanse.
Is it underneath, though?
It's got to be underground somehow. It must have fallen down.
That's why I was confused.
Because there's vines, so there has been some rot and ruin in the library, but it is for the most part secure. So yeah,
that's why I was confused. I was like, where is there a basement in these buildings? That's why I didn't think it was anything important.
I didn't either. Literally,
it was in the basement.
Yep, I did not get that until just now. Okay. And the only reason I was thinking about the Library of Congress is because of ALA, because I met some librarians from the Library of Congress, because I told her it's an actual library. You just gotta take for granted that it's there. But yeah, that's what it is. So that has been confirmed. Because at first, I think when I read, I thought maybe it was a different library. I don't know. So for all you readers out there, that's what that is. I was in an excavated ruin of the ancients. So yeah. Also, the priest-like people are not Vendan. They're foreign.
They don't speak.
They speak with an accent.
Yeah. Do they know they're down there? I'm assuming somebody knows that they're down. The
Commissar sure as heck knows they're down there.
So that's where he's getting all of his history from.
Because when she says I'm a friend of the Commissar, they don't they're not like, oh my god, he's not supposed to know that we're here. They laugh at her like, oh my god, what are you doing down here? Get away.
Once again, Game of Thrones. It reminds me of Sam.
Oh my god, I know. I thought of that too.
Like, oh god, what are you
No
doing?
women and children allowed. That was so funny. Also for you. The gut of this beast has much to keep us busy.
I bet.
Are they referring to the library, though, or the Commissar? I don't think they're referring to the library.
True. He's got them down there working.
Uh-huh. All right. So chapter 19 was a big reveal. And then chapter 20 is super short. She's kind of trying to process everything that she's just seen. She's got to go back to the room, and she remembers Walter telling her that she was the strongest of the three of her siblings. Again, an interesting time to do that. So she's thinking over all these things. The Song of Venda that keeps popping up in her head. The Chancellor and the Royal Scholar hiding books and then sending a bounty hunter to kill her without the benefit of the trial. The kava on her shoulder. Something had been stirring long before I ran on my wedding day. So she remembers what Dihara told her, the truths of the world wish to be known. And so all of these things she's realizing, if she had any doubt that she's here for a reason, it's gone now. She knows she has to be here for a reason. Mm-hmm. So she also remembers this remembrance that Pauline used to say, another step, my sisters, my brothers, my love. The way is long, but we have each other. Another mile, another tomorrow. The path is cruel, but we are strong. What does that mean? Is it just this kind of metaphysical support system that she's tapping into?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
And her sitting on this ledge, I'm sure, reminds them of Venda. And so did the people love Vinda?
I think so.
So okay, so now she's kind of like,
well, and then look at the difference between Aster. To the Morgies, Aster is this god of destruction,
mm-hmm.
and to the Vendans, she's a savior.
Well, she's a savior because they destroyed them and brought them up.
Right. So they have a much, despite the fact that they are hungry and survival is the name of their game, they have a much more favorable version of the story.
But she's come in as a royal who is, they don't like royals, but now she's appearing like Venda. Mm-hmm. So and they could be seeing her as their mother, quote unquote.
Right. For sure. Chapter 21.
So perhaps when the shiz goes down, they're going to follow her instead of the Commissar or Dahlberger.
Right.
Her father even.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll be the uniter.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I said earlier when she's in the Gehendra. She has an appreciation for this new land that she has found herself in. She no longer sees them as barbarians. She respects their language. She respects their culture. And that is like, I mean, that's something that she's going to need because I feel like she is going to be this uniter. She has to love what she's uniting, you know?
Yeah.
So chapter 21 is Pauline's point of view. Pauline is hiding, right? Pauline is hiding when Gwyneth talks to the Chancellor. The first thing that the Chancellor says to Gwyneth, "You look well, I am, and the child." And she tells him that the child is stillborn, which we know is not true.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they move on to business. It's like, basically, what do you want? You know, she says, Princess Arabella has been abducted. So he's like, no, my people tell me she's dead. And then who is telling him that she's dead, first of all? His sources have betrayed him.
Well, it's either the king or the vice-regent.
Oh, no, he's got spies. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So are his spies
maybe
protecting
Grizz?
her? Possibly.
Maybe Grizz?
Yeah.
Who else we think is a spy? We don't
Possibly
really know.
Calantha.
Okay.
As far as Venda goes, I don't know who else.
So isn't the Chancellor the Eye of the Realm? Is he the main guy? So his people are lying to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
I'm like, interesting. Yeah. He's being lied to.
It's actually written. Interesting. ...
That is a huge thing right there. She's like, then your sources are wrong. She's taken by prisoner by the assassin to Venda. And then he still doesn't believe her, saying Venda doesn't take prisoners, and he gets to leave. He gets up to leave. But then when she invokes the name of Pauline, he's like, wait, what? She tells him that Pauline's hiding. So he's like, I'll speak with the king and queen. Don't mention this to anyone. And then Pauline didn't know that she had a baby with the Chancellor, but and I don't think Pauline knows that the child was...
Pauline don't know shit.
Pauline is Jon Snow.
She don't know nothing. She didn't know about the berries and the stabbing and the slicing of the throat. She don't know nothing.
Well, conveniently, Pauline was distracted for most of the first book by Michael. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that was intentional. Yeah. Both on the part of the author and the convenience of the story. I don't really know why. Why did Pauline need to be distracted? Is she a seer herself? And because remember we talked about that. Yeah. Pauline might have a gift too.
And they might be related, or we don't know really what her deal is.
So, yeah, that's convenient. A package arrives the next day from the Chancellor saying that the king and queen are not interested. Parent of the Year award right there, ladies and gents. And this is, again, when we confirm that they do not know that Walter is dead. They do know that Greta's dead, but not that Walter's dead.
Where's her other brother?
He's here.
Okay.
She still has 2 more brothers. Bryn and another one. No, it's just Bryn.
I don't remember how many brothers she has. I think it's just 2.
I think it's the 3 of them, because remember in the chapter previous, he was like, you're the strongest of the 3 of us. And so Pauline is like, this is ridiculous. I can't deal with this. So they have to leave. They have to leave, not Civica, but they have to leave the inn because she doesn't trust the Chancellor.
Yeah.
Gwyneth doesn't. The Chancellor figured out where I'm staying. He must have bribed the messenger. He'll be expecting me to be on my way or paying me a visit for other favors. And it's not that that's so much a problem, but she doesn't want him discovering Pauline.
Well, then they'll just use Pauline.
Right, they'll use Pauline
Leah
to get Leah. But isn't that what they want her to do? Are they trying to get Leah back?
Yeah, but they don't know how to get her back. But if they have Pauline, then they'll just say, hey, I got Pauline. You better...
All right, I get it. Yeah, and Gwyneth and Pauline are trying to maintain the status quo. I gotcha. Okay. She's like, I didn't argue. I'd heard his voice when he asked, where is she? He didn't ask out of concern for my well-being. He possibly even wants to get rid of her. Because he kind of probably doesn't want Leah in the scene either.
No.
All right. And that is that. We begin chapter 22, which will be our next podcast. 22 through what?
Well, we have this one last song, Lavinda, but it doesn't really say anything.
I didn't read it. Yeah, when the dragon strikes, it is without mercy, and his teeth sink in with hungry delight. Yet again, the Commissar. Remember what he tells Caden?
No.
Don't give them any mercy. Make them suffer.
I still think this is a ruse.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
That the Commissar's fierceness is a ruse?
That he's the dragon.
So you don't think he's the dragon?
I don't,
okay.
But that's... You know,
but
how
you think
stories go.
Yeah. So you believe that Mary is intentionally trying to deceive us as to who the dragon is.
Well, yeah.
Knowing this book, that's probably likely.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, but
do you know how it goes when you're reading a mystery and they're pointing to that person? It's never that person. Sure. But then she could do a total like 360 on us and be like, nope, it really was that person.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I want to believe that it's the Commissar simply for the sake of pacing of the novel. Because this is book 2. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the appropriate time to reveal who the dragon is would be book 2, because then the third book is the wrap-up.
Fighting
the
dragon.
And wrapping everything up. Because it's like you said, they're probably going to focus on Dalbreck in the next book, which would make sense.
I'm scared. I have a feeling book 3 is going to be like 900 pages long. Oh, God.
That's the way things have been going lately with these YA series.
Yeah, this is 500.
But... yeah, we'll see.
All right.
August cannot come soon enough.
I know. August 2nd, I think.
Yep. All right. So what chapters?
So July 13th, we will be talking about chapters 22 through 36. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll get into more of the... I think we're going to get into more of the Commissar and Leah together. Mm-hmm. And in this book, this book is really slow paced. It's a really slow build. And then the last 50 pages is like, bam, bam, bam.
Yes.
It was like, oh God, it was
tense.
Like you paced. Like, yep. I was like, oh God.
Yep.
Oh, it was
crazy.
It's a lot going on in the last 50 pages or so. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm excited. Mm-hmm. Even though I read it already.
Well, it's just weird how much you forget.
Yeah, it is. Even Aster, I was like, oh, Aster. I know that word.
Yes. Yeah.
How did I miss that the first time?
Yep.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Okay, bye.